All right. Hey guys. So today we're looking at the end of the Cold War and the beginning of the 1990s. So here we have Gorbachev, right? Folding his arms, right? Because we're to him. So 8.1. Our essential questions for the day are: how did Mikhail Gorbachev's reforms change the Soviet Union? How did popular revolutions help end communist regimes in Eastern Europe? What are political, economic, and social challenges faced by the new Russia? How did the fall of the Soviet Union impact Eastern Europe? So Gorbachev. We're going to look at a lot of stuff that's going on today. So first, a group of reformers emerged within the Communist Party to try and reverse the Soviet Union's decline, right? So for, especially during the 80s, after the peak with the space race in the 60s and all that kind of stuff, the Soviet Union started to see a decline in their economy. And so, we start to see people of the Communist Party saying we need to fix this, we need to fix the economy. Gorbachev's one of those people. Gorbachev will become the party leader in 1985 and will start introducing a lot of radical reforms with the economy and stuff. One of those reforms, will be based on Russian words, guys, perestroika, which is a restructuring of the Soviet economy, right? So they want to restructure how the economy works. Gorbachev envisioned a market economy better geared towards the interest of consumers. So if you guys remember, market economies are more similar to what we have here in the United States, where there's a lot of different competitors in business who compete, and they make commercial goods, things like couches. Okay, so he wanted to see more of that. So I love how it says the photograph above, even though it's below in this thing. But in the photograph taken in 1990, people in Moscow are jostling each other as they try to purchase food during a food shortage. An economic policy called perestroika sought to restructure the Soviet economy into a limited free enterprise system. Unfortunately, this created changes that produced some negative effects on the Soviet economy. So, they change all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, there's not enough food to go around. People can't afford it, and all that kind of stuff. The gross domestic product, or GDP, dropped by about 15% in 1991, and the tax system collapsed, and price controls on most goods led to their scarcity, meaning you had shortages. So yeah, it wasn't great. Not a great time to be in Russia. This is from the textbook. It says, when he launched perestroika, or restructuring, in 1985, Gorbachev believed that the basic economic structure of the Soviet Union was sound and required only minor reforms. His goal was to bring the Soviet Union economically level with the West. Gorbachev's economists advised him that Western-style success required a true market economy. Gorbachev, however, wasn't willing to go that far and never successfully made the jump from the command economy to even a mixed economy. This is my note. Remind students that in a command economy, the government owns production facilities such as factories and decides the type and quantity of goods produced. A mixed economy is a combination of command and market economy. So hopefully that rings a bell from the assignment I had you do the other day. But anyway, contradictions in his reforms brought economic chaos to the country and made Gorbachev very unpopular. He launched glasnost, which is openness, as a second vital part of his reform efforts, believing that words. Make it more like a democracy. Democratizing. I don't know why I can't say that today, but whatever. The political system would counter the bureaucrats who worked to maintain the status quo. Because glasnost also allowed the media more freedom of expression, editorials criticized the poor economic conditions and the government's inability to correct them as the economic situation deteriorated. Gorbachev became a constitutional dictator, but never developed his ability to implement his decisions. So glasnost is, right, those political reforms. So we're having economic reforms and political reforms. It was a policy permitting the open discussion of political and social issues. And he created a new parliament with elected members and a new state presidency. So our essential question, right, was how did Gorbachev's reforms change the Soviet Union? Well, he's making economic changes and he's making political changes, right? So he started out as supporting reformers, right? And then when he's in power, he'll reform with perestroika and glasnost, or, basically it's just your economic changes and your political changes. He created a new parliament, which is a new government system that had a presidency. And as the arms race and Cold War ended, right, we're seeing these things at the same time. And Russia will also have a withdrawal of support. Well, we'll see a withdrawal of support for communist governments in Eastern Europe. So a lot of, Eastern European countries start to have their revolts, right? And we saw that last time, I believe. How did Mikhail Gorbachev... Okay, right. That's the same thing. Okay. Revolutions in Eastern Europe. So Poland, Czechoslovakia, and Romania. So it wasn't last time. It was just the other day when I made this. Oh, guys, it's late at night when I'm doing this. Sorry. My brain is fried already. So Poland, Czechoslovakia, Romania. Poland starts to see strikes. These strikes happened in the coal mines and the shipyards, which were really unionized, right? So they had unions, so groups of people, right, who stood together. The last communist prime minister of Poland, he said he would resign to allow non-communists to form an administration. So basically, their communist leader says, hey, it's cool. I understand why you guys are striking. I'm chill if I step down. And they're like, oh, cool, awesome. Czechoslovakia has the Velvet Revolution. This was a non-violent transition of power in Czechoslovakia from the communist government to a parliamentary republic. So, right, they're just changing their government, no longer communist, non-violent, really peaceful. Okay. This is a picture from it. So it says, a young man holds a Czechoslovak flag at Wenceslas Square, where gathered thousands of people November 1989. Romania, unfortunately, was not as peaceful. Nicol was their leader. He went to Iran, and when he came back, he organized a pro-communist rally. He's like, oh yeah, we need to have this rally where all the people can get together and be like, oh, communism's so great. So people get together, but then the crowd starts to boo at him. And he gets really upset about it, and he orders shots to be fired into the crowd, kills a bunch of people. On day 2, the military switches sides and, overthrows him. So, because they didn't want to just, shoot at, their friends, family, just fellow people like them, right, who came out. So, there's this whole kind of revolution, and they overthrow their communist government. So, how did popular revolutions help end communist regimes in Eastern Europe? So we had some peaceful ones, like the Velvet Revolution in Czechoslovakia, and then we also had some more violent ones, like the one in Romania, right? That lots of people, right, were in favor of these revolutions to change, their governments. So follow the Soviet Union. Soviet Union, right, super big. It had 15 separate republics. 92 ethnic groups, 112 languages under the Soviet Union. As Gorbachev eased strict communist control, right, so as the government's like not controlling lots of things about people's individual lives, all of a sudden, right, with those 92 ethnic groups, some of them didn't like each other. And so a lot of these tensions reappear, and a lot of them start to want, like the ethnic groups want their own country, kind of a thing. So we'll see nationalist independence movements. They're like, oh, I'm just going to say like Polish or Estonian would be a better one. So I'm Estonian, I'm not Russian, right? So the Estonians all get together and they want to be their own country, and we'll see movements like that. We'll see lots of conservative Soviet leaders arrest Gorbachev in an attempt to restore order. The coup failed when Boris Yeltsin and thousands of Russians resisted the rebel forces. Individual republics moved quickly to vote for independence. In 1991, the Soviet Union broke up into 15 independent states, meaning 15 independent countries. So we start to see like a lot of these Eastern European countries pop up like all at once during this time. In his resignation speech, Gorbachev summarized the reasons for the fall of the Soviet Union, emphasizing the failure of the communist economic system and the burden of the arms race. So basically they're like, we're spending too much money on missiles and not food for our people. So right, once again with that, Gorbachev's reforms changed the Soviet Union, right? So he's kind of the one who's like at fault for the break of the Soviet Union. So ethnic tensions, national movements, failed coup by the conservatives, and republics declare their independence. So now we have a new Russia. It's Russia. It's not the Soviet Union anymore. Boris Yeltsin gains widespread popular support in 1991. He led the resistance against Soviet leaders who had attempted to seize power. He becomes president of the Russian Republic. Yeltsin was committed to building a free market economy, but he faced a lot of difficulties. There's lots of economic hardships that go along with switching your whole economic system. A lot of social disarray, because you have a whole country of people who, grew up the other way and they don't want to change or don't know how to change. And then there'll actually be a rise in organized crime in Russia during this time as well. Like with mafias and all that kind of stuff. Under Yeltsin, so there's another problem, which was unrest in the Russian province of Chechnya. Many Chechens wanted to secede from Russia and become independent. Yeltsin used brutal force against the Chechens to crush the rebellion. And then Yeltsin resigned unexpectedly at the end of 1999. So, he was pretty much in charge from 1991 to 1999, which, guess what? I was alive during that point in time. So, that's cool, right? None of you were around, but yeah. Russia's challenges in economic growth. So, Boris Yeltsin attempted to transform the economy. There was a bunch of stuff in Chechnya. Vladimir Putin will take command after Yeltsin in 99. There'll be a budget surplus and economic growth, right? But then there'll be like a lot of other challenges, like the whole, what is the government doing? What do they look like? What is the government looking like? What do they look like in people's lives? How does that impact the economy? Is the economy changing? And then so Putin's in charge at first, right, as the president, but then, right, it's time for an election, and people actually liked Putin, so they made this other guy president, Medvedev. This is rough, guys. I should have looked up how to say all these beforehand and done a quick lesson of Russian, but whatever. Basically, Putin becomes prime minister instead of the president, but he's still kind of in charge, and then he'll switch back to being president after he's done with his term as prime minister. And it's all crazy. So Russia under Putin. Vladimir Putin was a former KGB officer. He was elected president in the year 2000. He launched a series of reforms to boost growth. More freedom to sell and buy land was one of those, and then a lot of tax cuts will be another one. Putin's reforms led to rapid economic expansion, much of it due to oil and gas exports. In international affairs, Putin took a more assertive role with world leaders. He also vowed to restore Russian authority in Chechnya, where fighting continued. Unable to run again for president, Putin became prime minister in 2008, sharing power with Dmitry Medvedev. So, political, economic, social challenges faced by the new Russia. Who's the leader? Like, what's going on there? Changing their economic system from a more command economy to a market economy. And then, right, social changes would be like changing the government. Well, that's more political, but lots of stuff that. Okay. Disintegration of Yugoslavia. So Yugoslavia was this area in Eastern Europe, and with the fall of the Soviet Union, we see a collapse of communism. So all of a sudden, it's like a lot of them don't want to be communist anymore, or it doesn't work anymore. Yugoslavia will invade like Croatia, and there's like a bunch of stuff that's going to go on with ethnic cleansing in Bosnia Herzegovina, meaning that like they're going to kill a lot of people or kick a lot of people out of their country based off of their ethnicity. NATO is like, yo, ethnic cleansing is way not good. Please don't do that. And NATO will intervene, which will lead to a war in Kosovo and an end of Yugoslavia. So all the countries in color right here are former Yugoslavia. So right, we have like Bosnia and Herzegovina, Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, Macedonia. Okay. This is a timeline of that. So, Communist Party collapses 1990, 1991. Yugoslav army attacks Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Slovenia and Croatia declare independence. The government of Bosnia and Herzegovina declares independence. There's a massacre of Serbians. Serbs sign a peace treaty that splits Bosnia into a Serb republic and a Muslim Croatian federation. The International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia convenes to try war crimes. Serbs attack Kosovo. Right. Serbian forces withdraw from Kosovo, and about 1 million ethnic Albanians returned to the region. So the ethnicity they were like against was like the Albanians. They don't want the Albanians in Yugoslavia, Serbia, that area. Yeah, Yugoslavia ceases to exist, and what remains of the country is renamed Serbia and Montenegro. Montenegro votes for independence. Kosovo declares independence. Okay, so how the fall of the Soviet Union impact Eastern Europe. So all of a sudden, you know, we see like ethnic cleansing in the area. We're going to see a fall of communism in the area, right? We're going to see NATO have to intervene in a bunch of stuff. And alright. Okay, well, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you soon.